The headlines keep telling us the job market is strong. Unemployment is low. New jobs are being added every month. It all sounds great on paper, but if that's true, why do more and more people need to stitch together 2 or 3 jobs just to get by? Why does it feel like we're working harder than ever, but falling further behind? This isn't just a feeling. It's a quiet but significant shift happening right under our noses. And today, we're going to peel back the layers of those big, shiny job numbers and look at what's really going on. Let's start with the data, because the numbers tell a story that headlines often miss. First, there's a noticeable rise in what economists call involuntary part-time work. This isn't about students wanting flexible hours or parents choosing to work less. These are people who want a full-time job but can only find part-time positions, or their full-time hours have been cut back. At the same time, the number of people holding multiple jobs is climbing steadily. Think about that for a second. We're not seeing mass layoffs like in a typical downturn. Instead, we're seeing hours get trimmed. A 40-hour week becomes a 32-hour week. A stable schedule becomes unpredictable. This isn't about choice, it's about constraint. It's the economy putting people in a box they didn't ask for. So, why are employers leaning so heavily on part-time work right now? The logic is actually pretty straightforward from a business perspective. Hiring a part-time worker is often much cheaper than a full-time one. Companies can avoid the high costs of health insurance, retirement plans, and other benefits. It also gives them incredible flexibility. In an uncertain economy, it's easier to adjust an employee's hours up or down than it is to hire or fire someone. You can scale your workforce to match demand without committing to a full-time payroll. Essentially, companies aren't betting on massive growth. They're managing risk. And that risk is being managed on the backs of their workers by keeping them in a state of permanent flexibility. This brings us to the illusion of the strong job numbers. This is where the gap between the headlines and reality really widens. When the government reports that, say, 200,000 new jobs were created, how does it actually count that? Here's the catch. The job count doesn't equal job quality. One person who loses their single full-time job and is forced to take 2 part-time jobs to make ends meet now counts as 2 jobs in the official statistics. The economy looks like it's growing, but that individual's financial stability has just been shattered. This is why hours worked is a much more telling metric than the simple number of jobs. The economy counts jobs, but households count hours. And right now, those 2 counts are telling very different stories. What does this shift from full-time to part-time actually do to your paycheck and your life? The most immediate impact is irregular income. One week you might have 35 hours, the next it's 20. How do you budget for a mortgage or rent when your income fluctuates that much? Then there are the benefits. No health insurance, no paid sick days, no retirement contributions. All those safety nets that a full-time job is supposed to provide are suddenly gone. You also miss out on raises and promotions. Part-time roles rarely have a clear career ladder. It's a dead end disguised as a flexible opportunity. The long-term security that a stable job once offered just evaporates. Stability didn't vanish overnight. It was quietly replaced with a system of permanent precarity. This new reality directly explains why so many people feel like they're working more but saving less. It's nearly impossible to create a budget when your income is a moving target. The money you'd normally put into an emergency fund is now being used to cover the gap from a low-hour week. And when a real emergency strikes, a car repair, a medical bill, there's nothing left. What fills that gap? Credit cards, debt. Variable income doesn't just make budgeting hard. It makes it structurally impossible for many. Part-time work turns what should be small, manageable financial shocks into full-blown financial crises. You're constantly one bad week away from falling behind, with no way to catch up. Zooming out, this trend is a major warning sign for the broader economy. When a growing number of employers are hesitant to commit to full-time hires, it shows a deep lack of confidence in the future. They are preparing for a downturn, even if one hasn't officially arrived yet. This is classic late-cycle behavior. Before you see widespread layoffs and a spike in unemployment, you see this hollowing out of job quality. You see hours being cut. You see companies hedging their bets. The pressure builds in these subtle ways long before the dam actually breaks. So while the situation isn't catastrophic yet, it's a clear signal that the economic engine is sputtering. And who does this new reality hit the hardest? It's not just the lowest paid workers. This is creeping up the income ladder. We're seeing it affect middle-income families who used to have stable careers. We see it with parents struggling to align childcare with unpredictable schedules. It's rampant in the service and retail industries, but it's also becoming more common in sectors we once considered stable, like healthcare support, education, and administrative roles. The person checking you in at the doctor's office, the teaching assistant in your child's school, they are increasingly part of this underemployed workforce. This isn't unemployment, where you have no job at all. It's underemployment, where the job or jobs you have are simply not enough. A common question is, why is this happening now, even without an official recession? It's a combination of factors. We're in a high-cost environment where everything from supplies to rent is more expensive for businesses. At the same time, there's a lot of uncertainty about consumer spending and future growth. Many companies are also carrying a lot of debt, which makes them even more cautious. So they choose the path of least resistance. Keep the business running, but with less commitment and less overhead. They stay lean by keeping their workforce flexible. The system is still functioning, but it's functioning with a much thinner margin for error, both for the companies and, most importantly, for the employees. So, where does this leave us? It's easy to look at this and feel anxious, but understanding the mechanics behind the trend is the first step toward navigating it. It reveals a fundamental truth we need to accept. A strong economy isn't about how many jobs exist. It's about whether one job is enough to live a dignified, stable life. The headlines will continue to celebrate job numbers, but now you know to look deeper, to ask about hours, about benefits, about security. You know the real story is often found in the details they leave out. If this helped you understand what's really happening beneath the headlines, you're in the right place. We break down the complex economic forces shaping your life every week. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.